All right, so this is Sohrab. He was, of course, my testing and life partner, and ended up at 33rd at the Philadelphia Regional.
Yeah.
Just good enough to place in the money. He won $2,000.
Yeah.
And he did it with what deck, Sohrab?
I did it with Paleo Frogs, even though I didn't get the shitty mat. So
instead, we are doing this beautiful deck profile on a double-sided Yu-Gi-Oh! Beginner's mat. So let's talk about the cards, I guess, right?
Yeah. So Paleo Frogs. Let's start. I'm going to start out with why I chose this deck. I was testing a lot with my friend who also had Paleo Frogs, and he would consistently lose to me, but always tell me this deck was amazing. I never believed him until I actually picked it up the night before and started using it, and I realized just how powerful this was against many of the big matchups, especially ABC and Metal Foes. So I decided that since Philly is one of the biggest, most meta-dominant regionals, I'd just play this deck, see how far I go. You know, I was just in it for the memes, but I ended up getting a placement, so I'm guessing going to Nationals meming. Can I get into the deck?
Yeah, let's start with the monsters.
Okay. So there are the generic Paleo Frogs setup: 3 Swap Frog, 3 Dupe Frog, 2 Ronin. There's nothing really to change here. You need 3 and 3 to be able to search them out with Totally Awesome, and you need the 2 because there's no point in having 3. You're never going to need 3 Ronins. So that's that. Most builds I saw would play either 2 Gameciel or 2 Max C. I thought having both of the main was equally fine because there's sometimes where you want Gameciel and sometimes where you want Max C, but neither are really too bad not to want to have in your opening hand the first game. And if it doesn't work out, you can easily side them out, and nothing really too hard to think about there. So having them both in the main helped out a lot, especially against ABC and not so much Metal Foes, but any other deck that put out really big boards. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 monsters. I only ran 2 spells.
Heart and soul of the deck right here.
Yeah, without this card, you shouldn't play the deck. It saves you when you Reckless Greed and you only draw into this. Playing more spells sort of takes away from the purpose of the deck, which is to rely solely on traps to do anything a spell could do. But Pot of Desires is too easy to free win. Every card in the deck you can replace easily. And if you send one Ronin, then you're fine if you banish the other one. So nothing much to say about the banish or anything like that. It's a good card. Hopefully it goes down in price. I guess I'll start with the actual part of the deck, the traps. So I played I played triple of the Solemn Brigade. I realized that 3 Solemn Strike would be a really hefty cost, and you can't even get your Paleo Frog effect off it, or your Paleozoic effect in Graveyard off of it, so running 2 was just fine, running Solemn was just fine. It helped out, it didn't really change too many games, but it helped solidify my place in some, so it had its purpose. Pretty good card, wouldn't cut it, wouldn't change the ratios. In terms of other traps, 3 Waboku and 3 Reckless Greed. Waboku saved me from so many bad games where I couldn't really get a board set up, and it combos perfectly with all the Paleos, letting you summon the Paleo, keep it around, or even just keeping Totally Awesome on board without much setup, because you can just protect it from battle because they're too afraid to use effects. Reckless Greed, during your draw phase, activate this, get your Paleos, and then you pop off on your opponent. So these two are really great cards. Tech choices in the main: 2 Anti-Spell and 1 Xyz Reborn. I only had 2 Toads, so I needed as many ways to get to those 2 Toads as possible. And Xyz Reborn also works really well with the Paleozoic Xyz to let you use their effects, since this is treated as a trap Xyz, so they can use their effects. Anti-Spell in the main was just free wins against Metal Foes. We're seeing a lot more popularity. Helps out against ABCs too, because they have to set their cards, and you can take your time to search out for the MST Paleozoic and continue to MST their field spell, slowing them down to a crawl. So those were all the non-Paleozoic trap cards I ran, and then...
Here's the sauce.
Yeah. Here's the real sauce of the deck. Sorry, I should have organized these two before we started, but I'm just a chumpus.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I'll fight you. Honorary Paleozoic, because it does stuff in grave.
Sure.
Most of them are very generic. This is Book of Moon, this is MST, this is Karma Cut. They do the basic things. This one was really hard to use. I'd cut this down to 2 definitely if I were to redo it. The cost from hand isn't as easy as you think it would be. It's not very often that you can just activate this and do stuff with it. And although there's not really a Paleozoic that does its job better, it isn't really that great of a activation Paleozoic. So probably cut that down, replace it with another generic trap. This guy was great. Always search this out. Always could use it. So good this format. Canada was alright. Stopped Ixie's plays. Slows things down. It's not the best, but definitely 3 of. The 2 of Paleozoics were Morella and Pikia. Pikia the Draw Engine, Morella the Foolish Burial. I would run a 3rd Morella. It's so easy to use. It triggers the trap cards really easily. I'd probably replace 3 of this with 3 of this. Pikia I'd cut down to 1, just because it's not often that you want to have a Paleozoic in hand, because they're all just so good that you want to have them on field. And having this one as a discard Paleozoic really slows you down a lot. So I'd cut these down to 1 and 2 each. And finally, Nonisha, which just returns a banished card to the graveyard. There's not much to say about this. It sucks, but running it is alright.
Sure.
It lets you recycle Breakthrough Skill if they Denko you or Jinzo. Because with Morella, you send this to graveyard, you can banish it. Denko and Jinzo can't stop that if you just make your plays and poop on your opponent. So that was the traps, the paleos, the spells, and the monsters. I'll go into the extra deck. I am a pseudo-budget player, so I can only afford 2 totally awesome.
Sure.
55 each, the day of the tournament.
Also worth noting, they had about 3 of them collectively across the entire tournament.
Yeah, if we didn't get them in the morning, like 9 a.m. in the morning, we would have been shit out of luck.
Yep.
Making this early is really easy and really great, but it gets played around very easily in this format. It's still a great card, really powerful, but to rely on this only is really bad. But it does its job. 2 of the beefy Paleozoic Xyz monster, and 3 of the Searcher. This card, once it comes out, if your opponent doesn't answer it with the first turn, you basically win the game. It's a lot harder to get out than I thought, because you need to get out a Paleozoic, which means you have to have setup, which this game is meant to stop you from being able to do that. But once you do this, you can knock your opponent down all the time, and it's really great. Personally, I'd say the Opapina is way better than Totally Awesome, but it's hard to get out, so...
Because you need a trap monster.
Yeah, you need a trap monster to actually use this effect. So Totally Awesome definitely saw more play, but I wish this was easier to bring out. Amora Claris is so good, totally underrated, best monster ever. This plus Anti-Spell means that Metalfoes will never make any plays. It means that they can't do fusion stuff, that ABCs can never get their field spell, and that you can just destroy any setup easily. Plus, the Excavation helps a lot when you're doing Reckless Greed plays. So, definitely great card. Wish I could make this more. Wish it was easier to summon Paleos to make that actually work. Besides that, the sort of other guys were these 5, these 7. I mean, Gotchi was a throw-in because I didn't have cherries, so I just had to have stuff in. Harold was a throw-in. I love Dark Mist, but he's total shit. 2 Topic Future because why not? Didn't even go in. I went into him once to beat Blue Eyes. Really funny game, but I don't know. I guess it was alright. This guy I made once. He got negated. Shit. These 2 I made all the time. Because with Cat Shark, he's the only one that you can actually detach from without losing too much immediately. So having a Ronin Totem on this, you can detach the Ronin Totem, and if you still have level 2, you can keep making more rank 2 plays. So having only enough to make these 2 guys would make it so then you have a totally undefeatable, totally awesome next turn.
Excellent.
And Sky Sentry Talturia, he does his job well. He is not a good card, but he works. And he bounces stuff to hand, which is useful when you're going against big boy Blue Eyes who like to show off their big, beefy JoJo muscles. So that's
Let's see that side deck.
This one was the real masterpiece. I didn't really understand what was getting played today or how to play side decks really, so I went with mostly generics, 2 Wiretap for the Paleozoic matchup, not so much to spin back any like generic traps, but just the Paleos, so they can't get their Paleo effects or Paleos in graveyard to use to make more rank 2s. 2 Twin Twister, also I guess for Paleos, more for Metalfoes and any other decks that could come up like Randos. The Destroy Your Opponent's Monsters package, shit, really good. Raigeki and Dark Hole, don't use these, they're so bad. ABC completely trashes on you. Dark Lord's trash on you.
But that Lava
Paleozoic's
Golem,
laugh. Lava Golem, best card of the format. Oh my god. We've preached to Joseph about how good this card was and didn't believe it until too late.
Yeah.
You will always, if you see it first turn, you win because every deck needs at least another monster to get their first turn plays going. ABC, they summon their Tsukiyomi, is that? Oh, they summon their Tsukiyomi and ABC Dragon, and you just pop the Lava Golem on them, poop on them next turn, and you beat it over with any of your guys, or just leave it on the field because they slowly die.
What else you
Other
got
than
in
that, I have the ABC package, which also never came in handy. Pot of Inquisitiveness, it was a throw-in, I didn't know how to use it, I wish I used it though. System Down, I only got it when I had 1,000 life points, terrible card, just kidding. Iron Imperial Wall actually sucks, because they just rank 2 and this doesn't answer, they rank 4 and this doesn't answer that. I sat it in against Light Swarms, we end up drawing, so it doesn't even matter. And Flying Sea, because this card is good, I just didn't use it well, but that's whatever. And then finally, 2 Ghost Ogres for the Metalfoes matchup.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
This format sucks. I can't wait for Nationals. Hopefully I pick up Zodiac Beasts and become the next Ted Cruz.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, thank you.